The spillway, they are letting everything they can through the main spillway that they possibly can, more than 100,000. And I'm going to read this to you in just a moment. I've just been told 200 to 250 spillway, which was breached for the first time ever earlier yesterday. Now, officials Wednesday said they did a visual report from a distance, though several years ago. Fast forward to 4 years later, the gaping hole discovered Wednesday began at 45 feet by 300 feet, 500 feet long. There is no way to know exactly how long that is now because it is under 100,000 cubic feet a second going across it. Officials said through the week the emergency spillway would not need to be used, but we should be fair in saying that it was a last resort. They did not expect it to be used, and it has done its job. It has never been tested before. Let us keep this in mind, that until 1 a.m. Saturday morning, in nearly a half-century of operation, lake levels had never passed the emergency spillway height at 901 feet, and that is when they did the first time ever. Flows accelerated to 12,600 cubic feet per second. Department of Water Resources has held press conferences yesterday and today. They did urge calm yesterday, but you heard the sheriff of Butte County say he made the decision to give an emergency evacuation order when he realized that there was going to be additional water that was having to come across. He did not want to have panic. And there you can see, is this a live shot coming? This is not live, but you can see not that long ago the sun is going down. This is, of course, earlier as well out at one of the evacuation areas. But you can see getting out of town is critical. You cannot go into Oroville, and that is very important. Now, crews, of course, have at noon today, they said flood evacuations were unlikely, but we, again, also were being given information that it could happen. So Taylor Torregano was there at our press conference earlier today. Now, she reported officials said they expected water currently coming down for the emergency spillway to stop by noon tomorrow, but it is very difficult today. We had a
So I'm in front of the visitor center. We just finished hearing from Sheriff Corey Honey here. He first spoke to the media and then he spoke to the community, saying he also wanted to let everybody know what's going on. Initially what happened was the emergency spillway that is next to the primary spillway was releasing the overflow of water from Lake Oroville. The lake can get up to 901-foot elevation before the water automatically starts pouring over that emergency spillway. So that was going on as normal. The flows to the primary spillway were also releasing at 55,000 cubic feet per centimeter when a hole started to form in the emergency spillway near the top. So to help explain it a little bit better, actually a firefighter with CAL FIRE said you can compare it to a water hose shooting down into soil. If you can see that pressure of water going down directly into some soil, you can see just how much of a hole that could form, and that's what happened here. So DWR saw this. They did anticipate initially that the erosion from that hole would spread a lot faster, a lot quicker, and with that continuous downpour of water, they did anticipate that it would be a little bit more of an issue. They did say now that the good news is that the water has not been as, the water hasn't caused as much of an erosion as once thought. So Sheriff Corleone said that he was really just trying to be proactive, get in front of the situation and make sure to protect all the lives of everybody south of Oroville. So that's why he did make that decision to go forward with that evacuation. But I want to speak to Chris Orrick. He's actually a public information officer with the Sacramento office of DWR. Hi, Chris.
Hi, good evening.
So he's kind of just been giving us a little bit of information as this whole situation unfolded from Tuesday when the hole formed. Chris, just tell me a little bit about what the condition of the emergency spillway is now.
Well, about 3:30, as you saw during the press conference, we saw that there was increased erosion in the uncontrolled, unlined spillway. It was at that point in time that we formed a unified command with our local sheriff, with the emergency medical system, and with our other partners, and decided that to side on caution. The safety of the public is our #1 priority during this whole thing, and that's when the evacuation order was issued. So since then, through our observation, we've noticed that hole in the emergency spillway, the erosion, has slowed its progression. And we believe through the options that we've taken to mitigate the flow down there, increase the flow on the damaged gated spillway, that we're able to lower the level of the reservoir down enough so that eventually that emergency spillway will not have water flowing over it. We're also having helicopters that will be dropping rock into that area that eroded to help if any more water flows down there, it'll hit the rock and hopefully go over that area and not cause any further erosion.
And those helicopters are doing that now?
We saw the helicopters fly overhead a little bit ago. I believe they went to the area to pick up the rock, and they'll be coming back with that.
Okay. If we could just give the viewers a little bit more information about worst-case scenarios. Say that erosion does continue. Do you know what would happen?
There is a possible if the erosion continues through the uncontrolled spillway and we have a breach.
For the future?
No, I mean, once again, their safety is our number one priority. That's why we issued the evacuation order. We'll continue with the evacuation order in place until we're assured that they could come back to their homes and be safe.
Thank you so much. We are expecting another press conference coming up at 9 p.m., so we will keep you updated. For now, though, back to you.
Thank you very much, Taylor, for our reporting. We should mention two things we need to mention that are important. One is that there's no evidence that there's anything structurally wrong with the dam itself. Some people would question maybe that would be the case. They say no. And number two, the evacuations are indefinite. When people leave, they're not going to be allowed to get back in until it's determined that the spillway or the situation is at least safe. And what's worrisome is that we've been hearing that by the middle of the week, in the next couple, 3 days, we could be seeing more rain and perhaps maybe those levels in the reservoir growing even more and maybe more spillage. So the issue is now a matter of the evacuations have happened, how long will they continue, and much of that could be determined by the forecast. Let's get the very latest from one of our meteorologists, Jeremy Linder. Jeremy, what can you tell us about that? I know that has to be a big concern for people at the DWR right now.
Yeah, it is, Jerry. They're dealing with a lot of these conditions right now at Gridley. The key thing to keep an eye on is even with CFS, the outflow all the way up to 100,000 CFS, the forecast as of right now for the Feather River at Gridley is just above the monitor stage. It's actually expected to peak about 95.1 feet. You don't even start to see any minor flooding until about 96 feet. What's happening is it's that uncertainty right now with the emergency spillway. If anything happens and we continue to have more water heading down into stream, that's where the major flooding is going to come into play, and one of the reasons why we have that flash flood warning. The key there is flash flood, where it could hit in a moment and very quickly we could have a whole nother situation in store. Now, we are keeping an eye on the lake levels at Oroville Dam. Right now, it's about 0.35 feet above that emergency spillway, so it is continuing to drop. Their outflows is about twice what's coming in from snowmelt, so that's going to continue to help those lake levels dip back down, but we're still above by 21,000 acre feet. That's above what's normal capacity if we were at perfectly 100%. So all of that is starting to work its way downstream. There's that flash flood warning again in the area shaded in red. That includes portions of Gridley, East Biggs, Palermo, Oroville, Thermalito. That lasts all the way till 4:15 Monday afternoon. And like Jerry mentioned earlier, we're going to continue to keep an eye on the potential for flooding, not only with the runoff and the snowmelt that we're seeing right now. In fact, a flood warning throughout the area is still in place through 9:15 Monday. But now all eyes will go towards the middle of the week with our next storm system. Precision gas is still staying dry on Tuesday, but temperature-wise, we're still in the 60s, flirting near 70 by the beginning of the work week. So a lot more snow melt's going to start coming into play. Wednesday morning is the next system. It's going to remain off of the coast, but by Wednesday night into Thursday, all of that moisture will start to work its way in. Snow levels even estimating fairly high, so that means more snow melt to start off. Eventually, those levels will continue to drop by about Thursday when we're still seeing a little bit of lingering moisture, but a lot of rainfall still potentially headed our way, not only for the valley, but the mountains, and that all works its way into the local lakes. Very unsettled, not only for the tail end of the week, but heading into the following weekend as well. So a lot of dangers that we're going to keep you on top of. We'll continue to alert you to the potential as we go through. A reminder, Monday, I have our alert level at a medium because of those high river levels, not only along the Feather River, but we're seeing some very high levels along the Sacramento River as well, and both of those merge as it continues to head downstream. Tuesday, we'll have to monitor that and see if we need to bump it up, but by Wednesday, all eyes are on that next storm system that could potentially bring several inches of rainfall again, not only for the week, but through the weekend as well, which is a whole nother issue when it comes to flooding. Jerry?
Hey, sorry, Jeremy, it's Brent. Jerry's got to take a break. We're just handing this off to keep everyone up to date. Now, we do want to underscore what Jeremy has been talking about, that we have seen some decrease in the levels, so that is good. The good news is there has been a helicopter overview of the scenario, and they're not seeing extensively significant new damage as feared to the spillway. Clearly, this has never happened before. Let's underscore that, folks. This is historic. In the 48 years, this spillway has never been used. So all things being equal, it is doing its job. The evacuation was called in advance, but we do want everyone to understand what we were told earlier when we spoke with the Butte County Sheriff on the phone, and he made it very clear, and it has been made very clear by others involved in this scenario, that the dam and the spillway are completely separate, and the spillway, the dam itself is not in jeopardy. The dam itself is not showing any signs of any problems. So we do want to bring you up to date on places that you're going. We do have several emergency shelters and locations that have been open. We are trying to keep those posted here and in other places as best we can, hoping that the continuing lower levels that we are seeing, and Jeremy's been keeping us up to date. Rob Elvington is here helping as well, and we've got reporters that are out on the scene. Again, getting back to what we were told at a press conference earlier, that, and we were told by the sheriff that they were going to be bringing in helicopters that will be dropping heavy rocks and filler, essentially to help to shore up the area on the evacuation of the spillway. So when we get more information about that, that should be happening. They should be dropping those rocks. We were told that would be happening early this evening. They do have lights on the area. It is heavily monitored. We also received information earlier that the governor's office and, of course, they are asking for emergency assistance from anywhere they can get it right now. There are ambulances coming down from Shasta County and more. So we're going to bring you some more. And right now, Eric C. from the Division of Water Resources is going to join our Taylor Torregano right now, and we're going to send it to Taylor and Eric C. with the very latest. Guys?
I'm here at the Visitor Center, and we haven't gotten another update since we talked to Sheriff Corey Honey, but I do have Public Information Officer Eric C. here with me. He's actually the PIO of the Oroville office. And Eric, I know we've already kind of reiterated exactly what happened, but maybe you can tell me from an engineer's point of view what this hole is all about.
Well, it's a head cut that is a type of erosion feature that moves in an upstream direction. It's caused by water flowing downstream, and but it causes erosion that works in an upstream direction. And so the concern was that the head cut was close enough to the auxiliary spillway structure that it could undermine the foundation of the structure, and there could be a failure of the structure. And that was why that information was provided to Sheriff Honey, and he decided that it was necessary to do the evacuation order.
Okay. And at this point, it's not as progressive as initially thought, correct?
That is correct. So one of the responses that the Department of Water Resources decided, and keep in mind that when I say the Department of Water Resources, right now there's not just Department of Water Resources dam safety engineers. There are engineers from the California Division of Safety of Dams, which is a regulatory agency, and also the Federal Energy Regulatory Agency. So this is it's a coordinated effort to try to come up with a solution for what's going on with Lake Oroville right now. So what they did was we increased the releases over the primary spillway. They were at 55,000 cubic feet per second. They increased them to 100,000 cubic feet per second. So the lake was already slowly receding, but that accelerated it dramatically. That doubled the outflow over the spillway. So what that did was that brings the surface of Lake Oroville down, and they wanted to bring that surface down below the lip of the auxiliary structure, so that way the water was no longer flowing, because it's the water that's causing the erosion. So this way you stop the erosion by turning off the water source. So there's still water pressure pushing on that structure, so they're going to continue to. And this is information I had before I came up here 2 hours ago. So, but this is the plan is to continue to reduce the water, to reduce the pressure or lower the water level to reduce the pressure on that structure, and be able to effect repairs. Now that the water's not on that structure, it's going to dry out, or at least there's not going to be flowing water, and so we can start getting assets in there to start affecting a repair. We've heard some large helicopters flying over. I know that was one of the things they were talking about when I left, was getting helicopters up to this huge construction helicopters that can lift these large bags of rock, these giant bags of rock, and place them in the erosion feature. This is similar to what you do when you are doing a levee fix, and so there's people have experience with this type of thing.
As far as where the release is now, I know it was at 55,000, but is it up more? Is it less?
Yes.
Oh,
so
it was 100,000. I'm sorry.
Yes, it was 55,000 cubic feet per second today, and they ramped it up very quickly to 100,000 cubic feet per second to, again, lower Lake Oroville even faster. The lake was actually today, for most of the day things were pretty stable, and the lake was lowering. The water that was flowing over the auxiliary spillway was lowering, and now this happens, but they brought the lake down very quickly. I will say that 100,000 cubic feet per second is a lot of water, but it's not as much as we released in 1997, which was 150,000 cubic feet per second. In 97, so anyways, that was the flow in 97. Since that time, there's been a lot of levee improvements in the area, but the channel capacity was designed to handle 150,000 CFS down the Feather River.
And is that water still, really quick, just going over that emergency spillway?
Before I left to go up here to do the press conference, they were saying that within the hour they expected the water level to get below the top of that emergency spillway, and that was now we're about 2 hours out, so I assume that it's already the water's already down below the lip, and that the water has stopped.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So that's the latest we have from Eric C. We also have a press conference coming up at 9 p.m., so I will have the latest with that. For now, I'm Taylor Torgano, live in Oroville. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Taylor. Our meteorologists are looking. When we do get the update on the water level, we'll let you know the minute it comes down to us, and our fingers are crossed. And let's be honest, this is not going to be an overnight scenario with the other situations that we're talking about relating to weather and melting snow and things of that nature. Now, DWR, as you heard, increased the water flow. This is some helicopter footage from earlier today, and that's a great look at what that emergency spillway has done. Let's point out that over about a 2-day period, there were crews out there ripping out trees, making sure that where you see white water going down right now, much of that had to be cleared of debris, of trees, of things that might have created downstream clogging and issues. They worked very hard. We spoke with construction crews and people that were working overnight on Wednesday, Thursday nights, and it looks like, all things being honest here, that emergency spillway is working. This is the first time it has ever reached that point. And we do want to let you know that if you're not aware, an emergency evacuation was ordered late this afternoon. We heard, and we've spoken several times with Sheriff Honey. We heard from several officials, and we will continue to do that. After a hazardous situation developed at the Oroville Dam spillway, of course, you may recall that early in the morning yesterday morning, for the first time, it went over 901 feet, and that was historic, the first time the spillway went. So we're going to bring you up to date on some evacuations and places that you can go and some of the things that are being offered. We do want to say that you do need to be evacuating. If you have not already evacuated, you certainly should be out of the areas south of the Oroville Dam. And we're talking about around the Feather River, Gridley, Biggs, Yuba City. Those areas should also have moved out. There are many places that you can go. Silver Dollar Fairgrounds in Chico, and I'm going to kind of wait on to see what we get from on our latest graphic, because much of this is coming in as in my ears, as you can see, just like in the movies. It's the way we do it here when we're bringing you the live information. I'm trying to express to you the calm that has been expressed to us They're not fibbing to us. They're telling us what's going on now, and that is the critical aspect. There are experts from pretty much everywhere. There has also been requests from Washington to get immediate assistance wherever we can get it, and as we get more of that information, we will have it for you. Butte County Superintendent of Schools has called for the following schools tomorrow: Bangor Union Elementary School District, Biggs Unified School District, Durham Unified School District, Feather Falls Union Elementary School District, Golden Feather Union Elementary School District. These are all closures. Gridley Unified School District, Manzanita Elementary School District, Oroville Elementary School District, Oroville Union High School District, Palermo Union Elementary School District, Pioneer Union Elementary School District, Thermalito Union Elementary School District in Butte County. All the Butte County Office of Education offices will also be closed tomorrow. Butte County Office of Education offices and schools in Oroville will also be closed. And I can honestly tell you that if in doubt, you can tell your teachers that Mr. Weber told you it's okay. But in all seriousness, if in doubt, we will keep those updated. We will bring you more information, and we'll have it on our website as well. The Executive Director of Butte 211, 24-hour public information helpline, got in touch with us, and they are taking calls. They are ready to assist. If you have questions, you're being asked not to call 911 unless it is a true emergency, because they can help you with landline cell phone calls. Yuba and Sutter residents can also call a back line here that you're going to see, 866-916-3566. We'll let you take a second to jot that down if you need to. But those of you who are in Butte County, you can just dial 211 if you have questions about where you can go, what you should do. We can tell you that you will not be allowed back in right away. That is clearly something that's going to be an evolving situation. Many of the places that we've been listing for emergency, for shelters and places for you to go, Christina, we appreciate it. We hope you're staying safe, and we do know that it's good to know there are authorities that are out there keeping an eye on businesses and so on, because you certainly don't want to see any issues. We're looking right now at a live picture here, Christina, of some of the movement and the loading of large boulders to be dropped into the Feather River area. Any other notes that you need us to take before we hit to a break? Christina? Okay, so we've lost.
I did not hear you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. We just wanted to say if there was any more that you'd heard from authorities that you want us to share, or advice that you've seen driving around before we go to break.
Oh, no, just real quick. When Taylor and I were at the visitor center, we did see helicopters going by, and we were told that those were the helicopters that were dropping off the boulders into near the spillway. Okay, thank you very much, Christina. We're going to be hitting, we know there's going to be a press conference coming up, so we want to get ready for that. We mentioned a moment ago that the Tehama County District Fairgrounds are open. That's good news. And we were told earlier that it was not open, but the fairground officials have gotten in touch with us. They have verified. And we're just glad to get that information out. They are open. They have been open. You are welcome out there. So that's another place for folks to go.
Now, if you need more information about the evacuations, we have a new section on our mobile app. If you don't have it already, search for KRCR in your phone's app store.
We'll have the latest alerts and information you need to know to keep your family safe throughout the night. A news conference scheduled. It's been pushed back to 10 o'clock, I guess. Oh, it is 9 o'clock, so it will be coming up shortly. 10 o'clock somewhere, I guess.
But we're going to take a break right now.
Yeah, we're going to take a break right now. We'll bring you the very latest when we come back.
Cal OES, Sarah Zendenom, Fox 40 News.
All right, Sarah, now I know you mentioned that they are monitoring traffic. I'm just wondering, have you heard anything about a plan to sort of ease some of those traffic issues that they're having?
Well, as I mentioned, Cal OES is in contact with the California Highway Patrol at this time, but we haven't been told of any traffic plans or anything like that. Obviously, it's still, as I mentioned, information gathering stage. So once they get the information and can relay it to us, we'll relay it right back to you, Joe and Nikki.
All right, Sarah, thank you very much for that. Also, as Sarah mentioned, CHP now taking part in this. This is a very multi-jurisdictional effort right now to not only clear some of these areas, but to sort of facilitate as traffic moves in and out. Now, CHP, we're learning, has deployed additional staff to personnel in Butte, Yuba, and Sutter counties. That's in addition to the information that you just heard there from Sarah.
And we have a traffic update for you right now. This is from Caltrans. A couple of new closures we want to tell you about. This is southbound 70 at 149, southbound 149 at 99, and northbound 99 at Marysville. Those are all closed. Right now, Caltrans is working on opening both sides of northbound 70. So again, we're going to go through these again. I know it's a lot. Southbound 70 at 149, southbound 149 at 99, and northbound 99 at Marysville. Those are all closed, and right now crews are working on opening both sides of northbound 70.
And want to mention that if you either know or are in contact with people who are evacuating right now, just ask that they be patient. There are going to be major delays. We're talking about within a small area, 130,000 people that have already been evacuated. So obviously there are going to be traffic issues. Want to get you right back to the dam itself. Ben Deasy's live for us there. Ben, what can you tell us about what you're seeing now?
Okay, we don't have Ben right now. Let's get to an update from CHP headquarters, because we're being told that CHP has deployed additional staff to work with emergency personnel in the Oroville Dam area. That's Butte, Yuba, and Sutter County. So that update coming from CHP headquarters. But we've been talking about the traffic mess as people are trying to get out of the area and listen to these evacuation orders. We were talking to one of our coworkers, Lindsay, who said that she got out pretty quickly, but once she did, she noticed that there were a long line of cars behind her.
Yep, and especially, we just saw not too long ago Doug Johnson in Yuba City talking to a number of drivers. Obviously, it's frustrating.
Right.
You have to evacuate your home. You're in traffic for, he said, 3 hours. People were stuck there. So, just be patient. Expect those delays. It's going to happen. We do have Ben Deasy now, who is live for us at the dam right now in Oroville. Ben, what are you seeing? What's the latest?
Yeah, Joe, Nikki, it may be a little hard to discern on your screen right now, but what you are looking at live is a helicopter hovering over the area of concern, hovering over both the spillway and the emergency spillway, both of which has sustained massive structural damage in this crisis. It is shining a very powerful spotlight on those two spillways, looking for the damage, trying to appraise the situation. We don't know if that's one of the helicopters that might be used in this airlift plan that has been floated by the Department of Water Resources. I do know, however, that a number of helicopters have been circling the area as they have been filling these massive bags of boulders. Again, the idea being that they might hook one of those bags to the bottom of a helicopter. That helicopter would take that material, those massive rocks, to the breach in the spillway, the area to the west of the dam, and try to fill in some of that breach. So far, none of the bags have been lifted up, but they have been furiously filling these bags over the past hour or so, and there are dozens upon dozens now on standby. And as you look at this, the image is different from the last time I broadcast to you live here from the top of the dam. You can see that all of the vehicles, the emergency vehicles, the trucks, and much of the heavy construction equipment, except for those engaged in filling the bags right now, have been cleared. It looks to us like they may be making room for one of those helicopters to come into this area, hook onto one of those bags, and indeed execute the plan, bring that bag to where it is needed in the breach. Now, we have unconfirmed reports from Mather that Black Hawk helicopters from the National Guard have been scrambled and deployed to this scene. We don't, again, know if that's the case, but we do have unconfirmed reports that that has happened. We also have unconfirmed reports that CAL FIRE Hueys have been put on standby to also assist if needed in this operation. But this operation, on the ground at least, is full steam ahead as we speak, as those bags get filled, bag after bag. And just look at the size of the boulders we are talking about here. Just amazing to conceptualize those being lifted by air, brought over to the dam, and deposited in the places where erosion, as that water floods down those spillway and the emergency spillway and erodes the hillside, causing some structural concerns at the Oroville Dam and the spillway releases. Just amazing to conceptualize those boulders being plucked from the ground, brought to that area, and placed in the flow of water to try to shore these structurally compromised spillways up.
Yeah, Ben, this is a really complicated effort here. I know you were out there as soon as the story broke. We sent you out that way, so you've been there for quite some time. Can you give us a sense of just how long and how much of an effort it was to get all of this done and even started, and then to get the helicopter up in the air?
Well, this was underway when we first arrived a few hours ago now, and the activity has only picked up. In fact, you can see over here another caravan of these boulder trucks bringing in more material, and this has been the case. Truck after truck comes in, dumps the boulders onto the pad here, the parking lot above the Oroville Dam, and then heads off to get another load. Just a massive amount of material being brought in, and air activity has definitely picked up. We're seeing and hearing helicopters all over the area. Right now they appear to be looking at the areas of interest, those spillways that are damaged. They're hovering over those spillways right now, have not yet headed this way, but we expect that should happen really any time now that they have cleared this parking lot, created a room for those helicopters to hook into the bags that they're filling.
All right, Ben, thank you very much for that. I want to send it over now to Mark Dembski, who's got another update for us in the newsroom. Mark, what are you learning?
Yeah, good evening, Joe and Nikki. As you can imagine, a lot of local agencies are being sent to the Oroville area. Nikki, I know you had mentioned that Sacramento Fire had tweeted out they were sending personnel that way just about 15 minutes ago. We got confirmation that the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department has confirmed they are sending almost 70 deputies to assist in the Oroville area and assist, of course, with that situation. They also say that there is going to be no impact to their patrol area down our way right now. I do want to also mention that the Rolling Hills Casino RV Park is the latest place that you can go for evacuees. Situation opening up at the Nevada County Fairgrounds. I mentioned that it was on, I had the wrong road the last time. It's actually at 11228 McCourtney Road, 11228 McCourtney Road. That is in Grass Valley. That is the latest in Nevada County as far as the fairgrounds is concerned. That is a brand new evacuation center. And again, Joe and Nikki, the information that we got a little bit ago, that the Yuba County Jail in Marysville is being evacuated at this time. That goes with information we had earlier that the Butte County Jail inmates, of course, being moved to other local jails in the area. That's the latest from the newsroom. Mark Dembski, we'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Mark, thanks so much. And I think you touched on this, but I just want to reiterate that Rolling Hills Equestrian Center, they have 300 stalls available for people looking to house their livestock, for horses. They said to give them a call. Their number, 916-826-1074. Once again, if you have horses that you need to find shelter for, the Rolling Hills Equestrian Center has 300 stalls available right now.
All right, important to note because not all of the shelters, at least that we've heard, have accommodated for animals. So, yeah, important to take note of. All right, we're going to send it out right now to Eric Rucker, who's live for us in Marysville. Eric, I know you've been tracking down some people who were mid-evacuation as well. What are you seeing now?
Well, to be honest, we've been stuck in traffic in downtown Marysville like thousands of other people for the last hour or so. Let me try to do my best traffic in downtown Marysville. What you're looking at right there is the line that is trying to presumably get on to 20 or go south of Marysville. That is southbound 70. All the people that we were following for the last hour are the ones basically for miles and miles and miles, bumper to bumper, as they head down eastbound 20. So these are people who are heading in the general direction of Grass Valley. We've already heard a lot of hotels, probably all of them, filled for the evening there. The situation, although it looks really bad right now, it has gotten significantly better in the last hour or so. The major reason for that, at least, is because we think on the majority of the people have finally finished up and or moving out. So this was probably more or less the last wave. You can still see some emergency responders and some law enforcement down on the corner there. That's B Street to locals, but Highway 20 and 70 as you head north or south on it. So the issues that we saw right here at the moment have quelled. But what the big issue is going to be, and as we just showed you, coming southbound on 70, and then everybody that was using 20 to head east up into the foothills, up into the Grass Valley area, those are the ones that are going to be concerned. All right, so that's what we have right here. A little bit earlier on, madness in Olivehurst at a Shell gas station. When we were there were cars that were coming in off of the road by the hundreds full. And at some point, there was a lady who said that they ran out of gas. We cannot confirm that to be the issue because we saw people afterwards getting gas. But the gas station itself closed down because of flooding. We've heard that story over and over. People are trying to get the necessities that they need. However, they are unable to because places are shutting down. So a mad dash for there. We talked to a woman. She said she did this when she was a 6-year-old back in 1997, and now she has kids in her car. And she, like many, is just very scared.
Twitter right now?
Eric, thank you very much for that. We're going to send it right over to Dennis Shanahan. Dennis, kind of take us through, where we are right now in terms of what we're seeing both on the roads and with the dam itself.
Yeah, Joe, that dam and its surrounding structures, including that spillway, were built in 1968. So we're talking about a 48-year-old structure here that has just been hammered with a massive amount of water as that lake is full. So we'll take you to the weather computer and show you what we're talking about and where the concern is. Again, just a quick recap that the concern is not the dam itself. The concern earlier this week was the spillway, which you see in the center of your screen, and they have been releasing a massive amount of water down that spillway to keep the reservoir from overflowing, but even that wasn't enough. The reservoir did start to overflow, and where it overflows is this concrete structure you see to the left of that spillway. This concrete structure where you see the hand moving back and forth, that is the auxiliary spillway, which has never been used. That is key. This has never been used before. So this lake crested that level, spilled over that spillway, and down into this muddy wildland into the Feather River. And so because this had never really been tested before, they didn't know until they did it really what the full effects were going to be. And here's the effect. The erosion that caused all of this concern has been advancing rapidly. And so that is why they said that the operation of the emergency spillway led to the severe erosion that could lead to the failure of that structure. But good news we've been hearing, they did increase the releases down this damaged spillway, the one that they can control, and that has brought the lake level down to a level that it is not spilling over this auxiliary spillway as rapidly as it was before. It is beginning to recede. So you take that pressure off of it, and you get the workers in there with those bags of rock that they're dropping, and then they can hopefully secure this damaged, compromised structure that did, they found enough damage to warrant the evacuation orders. So there is some hope, but they are not rescinding those evacuation orders at all, Joe.
All right, Dennis, thank you. Right now on the phone, we have Michelle Mazerel. She's from Marysville. She has evacuated already. Michelle, are you with us?
I am.
Hi, Michelle. Can you take us through what it was like for you as all of this started to unfold?
So I received notification through an emergency broadcast system at about 4:30, and by 4:45, I had a couple of friends calling me from the Dobbins area who had been listening to some talk radio, and they also had informed me that they were evacuating down to Gridley. So we probably were able to get out of Marysville a little earlier than most. We started heading out of town by about 5:15. But by then, of course, the news had already picked it up, and it had become pretty chaotic in town. Lots of people stopping to fill up their cars, running into the little mini mart, lots and lots of traffic, and emergency personnel heading back towards Oroville. So we moved to Sacramento. That was the direction we chose.
Okay. Michelle, you touched on it, but I'm wondering if you can elaborate on the sense that people had and just sort of what you saw and heard and felt from people as that evacuation was just beginning.
I think it was chaos, honestly. We had immediately gone outside and talked to our neighbors and told them that we were leaving, and they rapidly began packing their cars. We also put a few things in the car. I think it alerted other neighbors, and then we could see just neighbors up and down the street coming from all different angles, putting things in their vehicles and trying to get out of town. Myself personally, I received dozens and dozens of text messages from friends and family just checking on our well-being as they were also trying to prepare themselves and get out of town. Traffic was very, very backed up. The light would turn red, and the traffic was just backed up through the intersection. Shortly thereafter, they started pretty much closing the access like to 20 to 70 so that it made it even more difficult for people to get around. My aunt came behind us. We came up to Sacramento to my daughter's apartment, kind of to stop and kind of regroup and decide whether or not we need to go perhaps to Auburn. And it took them probably, it's about 40 minutes normally, and it took her probably an hour and 45, maybe an hour and 50 minutes to get here. So it has just increasingly gotten bad.
Okay, well, Michelle, so glad to hear that, you at least now were able to get out. You and your family are okay. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Yes.
All right, I want to update you now. The Sacramento Office of Emergency Services just kind of did an impromptu update on Twitter via Periscope, talking about the situation, what they're looking at, and they wanted Oroville Dam. But what they're doing right now is they're preparing to take evacuees from the surrounding counties. So they're looking at where they can put people, looking at their resources. They said they are able to take a small amount of large animals, and that's going to be at Gibson Ranch. But they said it's just a small capacity, but as soon as they get the information on evacuations and centers, they're going to put those out. And this update came down just a few moments ago. So we'll pass that along to you once those evacuation centers open up within Sacramento County. But they just wanted to reiterate the fact that around here, we're good right now.
Okay, and Department of Water Resources also, they were set to have a press conference at 9, so we were hoping that we could get some more information. That has been moved back to 10 o'clock. So we're going to wait a little bit longer, and we'll hear finally what they have to say. I imagine, will have some important updates for us. We're also going to take a quick break right now, and we're going to continue to follow this breaking story again as it develops, as we get more into our newsroom. We'll see you on the other side of this break.
At Fox 40, we care about our neighbors, all 3.7 million of you. That's why we're in your neighborhood, highlighting what's important and positive in your community.
Give way, or they would have a problem with something breaking at the dam.
All right, well, the owner of LHS Livestock Calling in Orland is offering free livestock calling services to anyone who is being affected by the evacuation order. If you have livestock that you need help getting out of those lower parts of Oroville and downstream areas, you can call them at 936-4137. You can also go to their Facebook page for info. The page says they can call about 10 to 12 full-size cows or 20 to 30 calves, depending on their weight. They're not sure how many horses they can haul, but they said they're willing to fit as many as they can. Well, the Shasta County Sheriff's Office is sending staff and are gearing up and headed to Oroville to assist in evacuations and, of course, any potential rescues that may occur.
We do want to mention, before we get to the next piece of video from Kelly Sum, that the fairgrounds are not full. They just sent out a note saying that they opened another building, so there's plenty of room for evacuees to go to the fairgrounds, the Silver Dollar Fairgrounds. And
how did you find out about
My
it?
daughter called me and told me.
Daybreak anchor Kelly Sum again was at the Silver Dollar Fairgrounds and one of the first evacuation centers to open for Oroville residents.
How did you find out about
My
it?
daughter called me and told me about we had to get out. And I have a handicapped daughter that can't walk, and the ambulance won't come in and take her.
It's a mother describing how she learned to get out and leave both of her daughters behind, one of whom, named Amy, was trapped in a wheelchair. The other daughter went to help her sister, and emergency services refused to come to their aid. The brother in the family, Phil, described the helpless feeling as the floodwaters rise around his sister's apartment, knowing they don't have the capacity to save her.
We're probably within a quarter mile of the river itself there.
You're pretty concerned about Amy?
Yes. We don't have the transportation to be able to. Because if we had, and that's one of the things we're going to try to look into, is get a van that's wheelchair equipped.
And we will try to update you on that dire situation for that family. We hope the very best for them. Again, that was Kelly Sum reporting from the Silver Dollar Fairgrounds, just one of many evacuation centers set up for residents close to the floodwaters.
Now, as most people leave, we are getting a list of all the Chico hotels confirmed full tonight, and that's America's Best, Courtyard Marriott, Haven Inn, Heritage Inn,
Motel 6, Ramada, the Oxford Suites, the Quality Inn, and the Regency Inn, you're saying these have all been confirmed as full. So if you're looking for a place to stay, you're probably going, and you want to go to Chico, which it seems to be where the lion's share of the evacuees are headed, you're probably going to have to go to the Silver Dollar Fairgrounds or one of the many churches that have opened up their doors so graciously, some of them even serving hot food, providing cots and a place to stay, really doing really wonderful work. Just a great reaching out of people trying to help.
Okay, and we hear that we're going to be talking with Taylor, who is down there in Oroville tonight. Do we have her on the phone yet?
Okay, we're looking at a live shot. It appears that's off what now? Okay, that is video from Fox 40, apparently, of the spillway, but it's pulling out. Oh, I believe that's up top overlooking the actual dam itself. I might be wrong. It's difficult to see at nighttime. No, that's actually, I can't say for sure where that is. It's too dark to say. I'm not certain where that is.
Is that where they're loading up the boulders? It kind of looked like from earlier.
It might be. I think you're probably right. Yeah. What they're doing is they're going to be putting these huge boulders and perhaps some sandbags. We're not sure at this point, but certainly we saw the boulders earlier when we had daylight, that those boulders are going to be taken by helicopter and literally dropped into the river to try to divert the water from going into areas which could cause flooding, to try to hopefully protect people's homes and try to mitigate any type of damage that's going to be caused if flooding should ensue. And right now, it seems to be holding up fairly well, although we heard from that family. God help them. We hope that they're okay. Here, do we see a reporter from Fox 40? There they are. They're loading up those rocks, those boulders, getting ready to drop those into the river to try to improve the situation.
All right, we're going to go through some of the evacuation centers open tonight. The Elks Lodge in Paradise tells us they're opening their RV park to RV evacuees, but they have limited number of spaces. Only about 15 or so. They will be accommodating people on a first-come, first-served basis. So the second location is at the Silver Dollar Fairgrounds in Chico. We're continuing to update our list. Paradise Veterans Hall is open. That's at 6550 Skyway in Paradise. There's also the Paradise Alliance Church, and that's at 6491 Clark Road in Paradise. Now, they're open to RVs and trailers only. Rolling Hills RV Park at 2645 Everett Freeman Way. That's in Corning. Mike Dudley says he has about 20 spots available. The Neighborhood Church in Chico is now open. That's at 2801 Notre Dame Boulevard. Lake California Campground has 15 available spots. That's on 2197 Tom B. Drive in Cottonwood. They say to just come up to the gate. Now, if you have problems paying, the RV park said that they will pay for you.
Look, and I'll bring you up to date on that here.
Yeah, I believe we still don't know whether or not Bangor, Pleasant Valley High School, and Paradise High School are still on hold at this point. And you may have already reported that.
We had the list, but it looked like I even gave the kids permission not to go to school tomorrow. I don't want to go off.
I know one 15-year-old boy is probably hoping that Pleasant Valley High School is kept out of school as well tomorrow. But and we try to be lighter in the moment, but this is obviously a very serious situation.
Right, and one that has been made very clear. I was keeping an eye earlier, and I haven't looked lately at the Caltrans and CHP, just looking at the highways, and clearly it's bumper to bumper going. All the lanes are north now on the major thoroughfares. But fortunately, we haven't seen any major accidents or chain reaction accidents, and that's good news. So people are being somewhat calm trying to get out of the area as the emergency evacuations orders
this is a case really where it's better safe than sorry, because I think there's always second guessing. And I know sometimes in this coverage, I've had people be critical, saying, well, and I've heard people were critical of Bill Connolly, saying, well, he was too early to blame, DWR for what happened. And so some people, are upset about that. And to a degree, that's true, but I think there's still many people who are going to maybe even question now, and I don't think it would be right to do so. Some people are going to say, well, maybe we overreacted. I don't think so for a second, but this was apparently Corey Honey's decision, and he decided to err on the side of caution. I don't think anybody's going to question that. The issue, though, now is, when will these people be allowed to return to their homes? We're talking about a weather system that's going to be coming in on Wednesday that's going to make these levels go. And I think the last count at 5 what I believe at 7 o'clock it was like 901.
Yeah, and the guys are, they're waiting for it to
update.
update.
At it right now. We're going to get those updated numbers, but if it depends on how much rain there is, if there's going to be more snow melt that's going to come down. Are we going to see even, is this thing going to continue? And I think we could maybe find out from Jeremy Linder over in the First Alert Weather Center. I think we're already looking ahead to the next couple of days because we have some dry weather, Jeremy, if I'm right, for a few more days. But then Wednesday, what are we in store for?
Yeah, Jerry, while it's been really nice today and yesterday, by Wednesday, it's all going to change with our next storm system quickly approaching, and that's going to bring more rainfall. Meteorologist Rob Elvington right now is in the First Alert Weather Center trying to gather some of the numbers of exactly how much rainfall we're expecting. But we do have an update coming from Lake Oroville as far as the level of the lake. We are now just 0.02 feet from that 901-foot mark where the emergency spillway is. So we're just above that. It's gradually been dropping, but we're still seeing a little uncontrolled water actually working its way up and over the spillway. But like we heard earlier from the Department of Water Resources, it needs to drop even more. It helped to get some of that pressure. We're also still seeing a light east to southeast wind in the Oroville area. So the wind driven could help actually some waves breach that emergency spillway and continue to see some water work its way down even after we dip below 901 feet. We're still well above average. In fact, 16,000 acre-feet of water is where we're above for total capacity, so still well over 100%. We're still keeping an eye on the potential for some flooding. Flash flood warning still in effect through 4:15 tomorrow afternoon for the areas highlighted in red. I want to point out some of the key areas. That includes Gridley, East Biggs, Palermo, Oroville, Thermalita as well. We're going to continue to watch for this potential. Like Jerry mentioned, we just have a whole nother system working its way through. So here's Oroville, here's the Feather River, there's the dam. All of this water is going to be quickly moving its way through from the dam down the river. And as it works its way in, it's going to look for the lowest possible spot, and that's where the water is going to go. So quickly things are going to spread out from there. That's where the majority of our flooding will start. But then it's going to creep as the water continues to flow. It's 1,000 cubic feet per second is what we're seeing the outflows right now, but we're also still seeing some snow melt. We mentioned earlier with the nice weather we've had today, that continues going into tomorrow, so we're going to continue to keep an eye on this potential. We're not the only ones, though. The entire North State is looking for that potential for flooding. We have an overall small stream flood warning still in effect through 9:15 Monday. And then all eyes will go back to that as we head with that next system by Wednesday. So quick update with our threat tracker, still in the medium category for tomorrow because of the river levels being very high. By Tuesday, we'll continue to see those start to drop. We'll keep an eye on if we need to bump that up or not. But then Wednesday, even though we're low right now, by Wednesday night, that's the time framing of the next system, and that's going to bring a lot more rainfall back into the North State, not only for the valley, but the mountains as well. Jerry, Brent?
If I could ask Jeremy a question, and I don't want to play stump the weather forecaster, that's not my intent, but is there a way that you could look at things and say, okay, given the snow melt and given the amount of rain that's expected, what that could do to add to the dam? I know that's many people's questions, but that might be a difficult one to answer. So again, I don't want to play stump the forecaster, but give it a shot.
No, and that one is, there's a lot of factors that do play into that, Jerry, and what we could be seeing is several inches potentially working its way in with that snow melt. If you look at the water equivalent from the station index across the Sierra, there's a lot of water there, and it may take a while for that to gradually be melting and work its way through. So very tough question, a lot of math and a lot of science behind that. That's, of course, one of the factors that the Department of Water Resources is definitely looking into right now as they project forward with this next system to find out how much more room that they need so this doesn't happen again.
That is hope for the best.
Wow, something else. At least 130,000 people have been asked to evacuate over concerns about the dam's emergency spillway. That includes folks from, of course, Oroville, Gridley, Live Oak, Marysville, Wheatland, Yuba City, Plumas Lake, and Olivehurst, all under evacuation orders. And Jerry, we were talking about this earlier. I think one of the biggest concerns right now, and again, not knowing this part of the preparation picture, they told us as a group that people please be prepared, but there is some confusion over what is open and what isn't as a place for people to go and when they're leaving, and that's been a bit of an issue. For example, we just saw that apparently Tehama County Fairgrounds are not being opened at this time as an emergency shelter. That doesn't mean it couldn't possibly happen, but folks just need to know where to go.
And I know the best, we've been, when we first went on the air about 4 hours ago, we had like a list of evacuation centers. We had like 2 or 3. The number has grown so large that the best thing we would advise you to do is go to krcrtv.com. We have a list of them there because it seems to be fluctuating. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Fantastic. These are live pictures from Fox 40 in Sacramento that are going, that we're looking at right now. So that's some of, I'm guessing, some of the boulders and things that they're trying to drop in by helicopter. See the big bags? They're going to put those boulders and sand in those bags. They will drop those from helicopters into the spillway area to try to direct water to reduce erosion in whatever areas they can. And I guess this works, I guess.
I was at that exact location on Friday. I believe, if the memory serves right, that pitch, and just to the left, I believe, is where you'll find some helicopters. Now, as the crow flies, that spot right there is probably 1.5 miles from where the spillway is located. Yeah, and I think you're right. That is apparently what they're going to do to try to get that water diverted and try to have it go into a certain direction. It's fascinating. If it wasn't such a tragedy, and if so many lives weren't affected, there is so many things in this, Brent, that is so interesting to see how these men and women do their jobs and do it just on a moment's notice under extreme pressure with lives at stake. It's amazing to watch. It's just a shame that we have to watch it. It would be so much better if this was just like something, a made-for-TV event.
Right.
The fact that their real lives being affected, and you talked about how many people evacuated?
130,000 estimated right now have been asked to evacuate, and we could, who knows, we could see more. But as we saw from Jeremy, the area where the water will fan out, to not knowing the future. I think to your point, the way that other municipalities in the North State, the way that Shasta County immediately, there were emergency vehicles coming down to assist, the way we've seen other counties opening up, we've seen churches, we've seen neighbors saying, hey, I've got room on my property, posting it on Facebook for people to go. And so far, we have no reports of injuries, and that's the best thing to hear.
It's so great, Brett, because what you do is you see so many people have different skill sets to bring to a story like this, to bring to an event. These men and women, they have certain abilities. The people over at the, caring for people in need over with the American Red Cross, everybody rallying around and doing what they do best to try to make the situation, better for everybody else. But I guess what still is going to be the big question is, how long is the city of Oroville going to be closed up?
Yeah.
I mean, basically, Oroville and other cities are going to be out of business for a while because nobody's going to be allowed to go back in for a certain period of time.
And we are hearing, Jerry, if you want to no, this is from Fox 40. We are hearing from them. They're reporting that the jail is being evacuated. We don't have more details, and you were discussing that just a moment ago.
Right. And that's probably going to close up because that's right next to the courthouse. It's next to the district attorney's office. It's over on County Center Road. So I would imagine all of the office buildings, and this isn't confirmed yet, but if they're pulling people out of the jail, which is a little bit lower than some of the, I will grant you that the jail is on lower ground than where the district attorney's office is and some of the county office buildings are. They're up higher. It'll be interesting to find out whether or not they're going to decide to actually close those as well. But I would say the elevation is higher. They're on a slight hill, but the jail is down in a lower, I guess, gully, I guess the word that comes to mind, a little lower. So perhaps that's why it was necessary.
And again, we're looking at that earlier was live. Now, this is earlier today, footage from a helicopter of cars leaving, getting out of Oroville, and you saw, if